Welcome back to another episode of Singapore's Real Estate Explained, brought to you by the JNA Investments team. And today we have another new launch review
called Bloomsbury Residences. It's found in one-off area. In fact, the last we had was Blossoms by the Park, which is almost fully sold out. So there's something we'll see whether it will perform similarly.
Yep. So is it gonna be the second Normanton Park, which Normanton Park did pretty well. So we'll see how this performs.
All right, so let's jump deep into it. But before we start, I'd like to thank all our clients for the past 7 years of support. Currently, we have 722 clients served for investment and having a return of 19.56%. Okay, so if you'd like to find out more about how our clients achieve, okay, do scan the QR code right below, and more than happy to validate it to you. And also, we also have a latest 2025 new launch guide where we share with you what are the upcoming launches and what is the best pick that we find in the market.
We also want to thank all our clients who have supported us thus far on our Google review page, and also that our channel has grown to 16.1k subscribers. So thank you all for watching and following us.
All right, so let's begin this review. For Bloomsbury Residences, it's actually found in the Hao One North area. In fact, it's quite deep. It's like a Normanton Park, but a smaller version of it. Number of units is 358 units. Okay, expected TOP is 2029. So it's done by this developer called Qingjian. The last they did was this project called Jitscape and Arden, which found Jitscape is in Marymount area, almost a fully sold out, one of the top performers in the past few years with 32% gain. And with Arden, with a slightly smaller development all the way at Phoenix Road, which is near to the Bukit Batok area. So with Qingjian coming into Bloomsbury, let's see how it will fare.
Yep. So at this point of the shoot, we don't have the information on their site plan or their floor plans yet. So we'll make do with however much information we have today.
Right.
So for land bid-wise, there were 3 bidders that actually bidded for this land, one being CL and Singhai together. Second one is Intrepid and TID, which is also under Hong Leong. And then third one is Qingjian, which actually got the plot in the end.
Yeah, so the bid was about 2.67% higher. So I said it's quite competitive. You didn't really overbid. And it's something that is also safe to enter in terms of entry price. We'll see later on. All right, so next up, in terms of some of the condition that's needed, first up, they actually have to build this public plaza. In fact, 2 of them. Okay, it's very similar to a common space area that you can see at Singapore Plaza. And right in front, there's open space where there is a pedestrian who can actually walk through this area. So you have to build this area such that it can add life to the entire Bloomsbury area.
Yeah, so I think for when the government actually launched this plot land, they had quite a few requirements on how the first site was going to be looking like. They want to kind of join it together with the greenery around. So they actually have some trees that they know would have to be taken down. So there are some rulings like, okay, you have to protect some particular trees. When you take down some trees, you have to replace them at a later stage.
Yes.
So you also see that, they did mention that boundary walls are not allowed, like fences and maybe like concrete ones. They want the developer to actually use something that really blends in with the entire environment so that from the outside you seem like it's a fenceless estate as what the government actually termed in the requirements.
So that's the location. It's actually found deep in a media circle.
So you see a lot of artists, MediaCorp artists over here.
Yes, when you can catch Charlie walking around this area. Yeah, I think that's a plus point. Okay, but in that location, it's actually quite deep in. Okay, and it's right next to a series of conservation houses that were rented out, okay, by the government itself at Woking Road and Westbourne Road. So this is actually a new area that's up and coming with a total of 4 plots.
So some history about Media Circle, right, is that previously they had tried to release the lands before by the government, but they weren't successful. So for this particular one where Fraser actually underbidded for it and the government actually rejected it, it was a 60-year lease tenure for service apartment. So it's not the most conventional residential plot. And that's why sometimes when developers see this kind of like, not funny, but unique plots, they're a little bit more conservative. They don't know how, from a business point of view, how profitable it can be, since it's more of, because it's a service apartment, right? So it's more of a long-term passive kind of game. And that's why when they kind of bid for it, they have to take into account all these risks also.
Yes, because it's a new concept. And one other example is at Thomson here recently, there was a service apartment and no developer wanted to bid for it even. So I guess it's either get a low bid or no one bidding for it. And this happens because there's a new concept that no one have done it in the market before.
Yeah, so this is also not the only land that government actually refused because of low bid, right? Other lands include like Marina Garden Crescent, by Hong Leong, Guoco Land, and then also the one at Jurong Lake District, the huge plot that's beside MRT, that was also rejected because the developer didn't put it didn't bid up to the reserve price. And from a government's point of view, if they do release it at a low price and for any reason developer is in a good mood and they release it low, it may affect the market prices. So it's a way how government kind of protect the prices. They feel like, if let's say market is not responsive to a certain pricing and the developer is not bidding up to a certain pricing, then they'll be holding the land until the market is ready to react.
And in terms of schools, okay, within 1 km, we don't have any primary school. There are 2 km radius, we only have one called Fairfield Methodist Primary School. And the rest, you can take a look at the screen. There are more of tertiary and ACS independent, etc.
Yeah, I think this area is very near a lot of education hub, not only from primary school to secondary school to like your Singapore Poly is nearby, ACJC is nearby, all the way up to even NUS. So I think there will be families that, don't need that 1 km, but the kids are studying around that will still buy into this area. And that's why last time why my parents bought Boba, also because they felt like it's an education hub from your primary school all the way to your university.
Yes. And next up, let's take a look at the unit mix. So unit mix, you can see majority of them are actually 2-bedders, 53%.
No 1-bedder.
No 1-bedder, which I think
developer now. Nobody wants to buy it.
Yeah, like we said, EOK and Ori, or the 1-bedder, it's not really step up as quickly. So that's something the developer had tested the market and said, minimally, let's go for a 2-bedder. But you can see this is a more investment-centric area, which is understandable because it's near the Media Polis, near Fusion Polis, and where all the expats are, or people who are in the working professionals are located there. So the 2-bedders is where they're catered more towards. And then in terms of 3-bedders, we have 26% of it being the 3-bedder range, 19% for the 4-bedders, and a very small percentage for the penthouse and 5-bedders for those who are looking to expand the budget and buy somewhere that is near to the Media Polis area. Okay. So next up, let's take a look at the entry price.
So for break-even price, you'll notice that for this plot of land is actually after the area harmonization. So before that, the break-even is about 2,076. Adding in area harmonization, it will bring it up to about 2,221. Our guess is that it should launch around the 15 to 20% profit margin between about 2.5 to 2.6, but they may launch the starting price a bit lower.
Yes, and knowing Qingjian, because they tend to price it on a slightly higher than break-even price. You can see in places like Arden or places like your Jetscape, they actually price 70% above the break-even. So, I mean, they will actually try to match the market to see what is exactly the market price and from there on price it accordingly. So this is our prediction, but it could be lower starting from, but average should be about 2.5 to 2.6.
Yeah, so I think this is also on par on where RCR is today. In fact, if we've seen Alta that just launched earlier this year as an OCR, it has also hit about 2.6. I think some very, very high floor units even had 2008, which is like a
record
whole
high.
new record pricing for OCR again. When people say, Ori at 2.7 was crazy, we saw units at Alta going for like 2008.
Yes, and that's because of the demand of the area. And if you look at average prices in terms of quantum wise, for the 2-bedder, 3-bedders, and 4-bedders, the 2-bedders are going at 1.895 million for a decent 2-bedder. And for a 3-bedder, it's about 2.68 million, and the 4-bedder is 3.53 million. So this is something that when you buy into RCR, you can get something below this. I would say a decent entry price, but if something above this, then I would say it's a little overvalued.
So based on research, I think this whole area, there isn't many residential plots. With this being the first one, the closest would be Normanton Park, which was also a previous en bloc, right across the highway from Bloomsbury. And the difference if you compare TOP to TOP is going to be about 6 years.
And for Normanton Park, it's a big development, 1,840 units, so it's massive, about 6 times the size. So when it comes to the entry price wise, I mean, when it first launched, they were also a bit price sensitive, and today it hit close to about 2,001 per square feet.
Yeah.
Next up, let's take a look at the transaction. For Normanton Park, the 3-bedder, 936 to 969 square feet, they're going about 1.9 to 2.08 million. The 2-bedders, recently transacted in February, 764 square feet, is going about 1.548 million. The 4-bedders are going about 2.92 million. And when you look at the profits, they actually make quite decent returns.
Yep.
For the 3-bedder, going about 537k, 500 plus k in terms of returns for the compact layout, and the 4-bedders, okay, interestingly, and making the same profit.
Or if not slightly lesser.
Slightly less.
Which is quite something that you don't usually see. But if you go to like, other developments, like whether it's Treasure or whether it's Clermont, Park Clementes, usually the bigger unit types, like the 4-bedders, tend to do better. But in here, we're seeing the opposite, where you buy cheaper into the smaller 3-bedroom and you still make more than if you're to enter into the 4-bed. And you realize that it doesn't always follow the rule that the bigger the better.
Yes.
I think for other developments, in the past, how it was being priced is that generally 4-bedders should be cheaper in terms of per square feet, because last time the bigger you get, the cheaper the per square feet. But uniquely in Normanton Park, because some of the 4-bedders they really have very nice view. Like they're facing the Cambridge Park. I think we offloaded a unit over there. You can take a look at the video of our sell side team on how they actually offloaded that unit at record pricing. So because of the views, these people tend to pay a slight premium. So you will notice the entry price, right? For those that bought in the compact 3-bedder, they bought about 1,007 plus per square feet. But the 4-bedders actually entered about 1,008. So they did overpay a little bit. Doesn't mean that they didn't make, they did. It's just that from a pure investment point of view, the smaller unit, because of entry price, actually made more.
And one reason is also because of the demand in the area. For Normanton Park, if you know, a lot of them are looking at smaller families, people working in media polys, fusion polys, science parks area. They potentially don't need a big bedroom. They are looking at a place where they can work and enjoy a big space. So the demand for a 3-bed potentially could be higher than the 4-bedder in this area that warrants the higher returns in terms of profits.
Yeah. Okay, so the next thing what we want to see is, how we know that Normanton Park actually did well. So how were they priced when they were actually as a new launch as compared to the RCR market at that time? And I remember Normanton was a development where people say the ratings weren't very good from what on the ground people mention about, because firstly, there is no HDBs, no amenities around, there is no MRT, there is no schools within 1 km. Anything that a normal own-stay buyer would want, it doesn't tick off the boxes at all.
Yeah, so when people say Normanton Park, and we have a lot of units, 1,800 units, people say, hey, how do we sell? How do we sell? There's so much supply in the market. But interestingly, they still make money.
Correct.
Yeah, you can see at the start when they launched at 1,700, they sold at about 2,000 to 2,300 per square feet. Wow, the returns are 500k for the 3-bedders. And the reason why they make money, if you look at a chart back then in 2021, 2021 period, 2020 period, what we see over here, Normanton Park is 1,700 per square feet. Okay, but meanwhile, the RCR with City Fringe average, the new launches are going at 2,056 per square feet. So you're lower by 280. Yep. So it's something that when compared to the market, you're actually buying below the market average prices, and that's when you sell later on, you can easily still fetch a higher price.
Correct. It's like when you look at the quantum of a 3-bedder, back then in RCR, a normal 3-bedder would cost you close to 2.1 million. But at Normanton Park, the average was about 1.7. I believe at 1.6 plus, you could also get a 3-bedder. And that's why, despite the not so attractiveness in terms of location and like amenities, they still profited quite significantly, because you just imagine if you bought in at 1.6 to 1.7, right? All you have to do, right, is just exit at what your neighbors entered in at. Like, let's say, for example, 2.1. As compared to all those neighbors that maybe entered a better location at 2.1 million back then in 2021, when you want to exit today, they have to sell maybe about 2.4 to 2.5.
Yes. Right. And next up, let's compare to another new launch that is very pretty similar in characteristic to Bloomsbury. We have Bloomsbury Park, actually launched in Slingsbury area, number 276 unit, key opening soon in 2027. So it's actually done by EL Development and almost fully sold out. When you look at the prices wise, currently, okay, the bigger bedrooms are going about 2.4. But you can see some of the prices are going at 2.6 per square feet. So for the recent transaction for Bloomsbury Park, you can see the compact layout 915 square feet is about 2.6 per square feet. Okay, for 1044 it's about 2.5 per square feet. Okay, and the bigger units about 1507 is about 2.3 to 2.4. I
remember we had a client who got a pretty good value number for Bloomsbury Park, and we managed to enter a unit at under 2,003 also.
Yes, and that was currently he's seeing about 300 per square feet profit gain. And why did we enter Bloomsbury back then? If you look at the prices, on average for RCR is about 2,485 per square feet. So a very safe way to invest is always to buy below the market value and simply selling at or even slightly higher than market value, and because we are looking at 3 years down the road. Yeah, so this is what we see. And when back then Bloomsbury launched, the average per square feet is about 2,423 per square feet. It's lower by 62 per square feet as compared to the RCR average. And for Bloomsbury Park back then, the average 3-bedders are going about 2.41 million. Meanwhile, the RCR average are going about 2.7 million. So it's lower by about 263,000. So I would say it's quite decent when it comes to entering into this project.
Okay, so this is again, we don't have the exact floor plan, but if we were to, based on what we have now and estimating the prices to be between about 2005 to 2006, hopefully with this being a first plot in Media Sucker, usually when it's the first plot and people are a bit uncertain, plus it's an area that is not the most popular. I know it's an area where people may say it's sometimes a bit ulu. So when developers actually cannot sell like characteristics of near the MRT, usually they have to sell by pricing. So we are just hanging on the hope that, maybe developer will launch it slightly under. But if they do launch it about 2005 to 2006, this will be the estimate quantum for their 2, 3, 4, as well as the very limited penthouses, which are the 4, 5, and 6 betas. The 2 betas would likely range from between 1.5 to 1.8 million, depending on your unit type. Then your 3 betas would likely be starting from 2.2 plus and ranges all the way up to maybe about 2.7, 2.8, based on floor level, based on whether there is a study or not. One unique thing you'll see is that a lot of the developments, they start to have this between a 3 beta compact and a 3 beta premium.
Yes.
Because they realize there's a lot of upgraders from the HDB, right? And HDB, if you know 4-room flat, they have a home shelter, but they don't have the extra toilet. So if people say, I don't want to wash the extra toilet, right? Then they just want a home shelter. That's where the 3 plus study, which is likely the 900 square feet over here, is going to be like. Means you got 3 bedroom plus like a little flexi room.
Yes, and it's quite interesting how they can squeeze the entire layout into 900 square feet. I think developers are being more price sensitive now. They want to make sure it's very efficient, such that people can accept the layout.
If you remember, Ori, they in fact fit a storeroom in a 850 square feet.
Wow, that's
3 beta.
Yeah, it's a dumbbell layout. So that's what developers are doing to make sure that the unit is more efficient. Yeah. And kidding, let's take a look. Are there any upcoming GLS, or government land sale that we will be looking at this area? What's important to understand? This is because this will help to set a new benchmark of the entire area. So one of the key highlight, which is very interesting, there's something that's not mentioned in the news, but not really like mentioned in terms of a government land sale.
Yeah, because it's not a government land sale, so it doesn't, it's not at the top of everybody's mind also.
Yes, so it's this place called Senewa Science Park. It was actually developed by your CapitaLand. It was actually used to be a business park. But CapitaLand, by chance, by luck, they managed to convert a land plot and have an approval from URA to say that, hey, this is a business park, I want to convert the residential, and got approval. So there'll be a 300 unit condo that's launching in this area.
Yes, and it's not the first time that they did. So the last time they did it, I remember it was Jayden.
Yes.
So it was like JCube, right? It was a mall, and then they got approval to actually convert it to residential. And this is what they are doing for this plot of land. And this plot of land is going to be nearby, but it will be walkable to Cambridge MRT.
Yes, so it will be setting a new benchmark in the area once again, along with a few plots coming out. There's a business park and also a service apartment that's within this area. Another land plot that's very interesting that is in the midst of concluding. The result is not out yet, but we have the bids as submitted. It's actually Media Circle Parcel A, right next to Bloomsbury, right in front, in fact. And the tender, same thing.
Also by Qingjie.
By Qingjie. So Qingjie may be winning a bit again.
You'll see if this is going to be another Lentor story, right? Because Lentor Hong Leong basically took over all the plot. So this maybe will be a Media Circle where Qingjie takes over all the plot.
Yes. So if Qingjie want to win, I will guess it's a good news, because if it's within the same developer, usually they will not want to crash the price themselves. So they will sabo each other. So they want to set a lower minimum bid and say, hey, there's upcoming land, they can push out the price. I can be able to lift the price up. So this is a good news if this plot were to go through. But of course, government can still say, hey, the land is too low, I want to go higher. So that's currently still under unknown, right? And notice that there is still one plot coming up, called Parcel B. We recently came out for tender. We are concluding about May period. They will be having about 500 housing units at this place called Media Circle Parcel B. It will be residential with commercial at first story. So it's something you can stay tuned to see how the developer bid for this land. And potentially it could be another Qingjie story. They want to monopolize the whole area.
Yeah. And then of course, besides the plots that we talked about, right, there's another Media Circle plot. This last one is actually on the reserve list, so it's not confirmed yet. I think the government wants to get a sense of the demand from the developer, because it's not the first time that they're launching it. This was the same plot that we talked about, the 60 years lease tenure, the one that's going to be under service apartment used. Yes.
Yeah, so potentially if the service apartment is launched and then people don't take out again, they may even reconvert the site to be 99-year lease.
Normal 99 years.
Yes. But of course, you see how the Media Circle demand is for the current land plots that have launched. So it's something you can stay tuned to see how it's transformed the entire area.
So I think in summary, Media Circle is going to be an up and coming area with the government trying to release all these plots of land there, because it hasn't been known to be a residential area. It's known to be a research hub. All your workforce is there, all your big companies are there, and this is the first plot. So I think it's quite interesting to see the demand in this area. It will not be as strong as, let's say, maybe Ori or let's say Chuan Park, because it's a new area that people may need to get used to.
Yeah, but sometimes this could be good news, because if the demand is not as high at the start, what happened is the developer may be a little price sensitive in the prices,
Just
and
to
we
attract
may
the
have
crowd.
opportunity. So
Yes.
that's something that we have to reassess again. So as usual, we'll end off with the BOA approach. Is it a buy, wait, avoid? So I heard some of our clients actually decide to skip us the whole
Just
analysis,
scroll.
scroll, and then click the last part and look at the answer. So yes, this is the answer. Is Bloomsbury a buy, wait, avoid? Okay, so it is. Let's do this. 3, 2, 1. Wait. Okay, so I wait.
Okay, I think it's an interesting plot because it's going to be the first one. It's not a very popular plot, so there may be chances that developer may launch it slightly low. I think all we just have to do now is look at what's the floor plan. There are some unit types that we may go for in certain areas, some unit types that we may tend to avoid. So I think it really depends on the floor plan. But based on the unit size that they gave and the name of the unit type, I think it seems quite promising. So you just really have to dive down. Once the floor plan is out, we'll share on what are some of the stacks that you should consider.
Yes, indeed. In fact, the key thing we look at is the entry price. Because at the end of the day, if the developer were to be very price sensitive and launch it because similar like Nava Grove area is a place that is a bit out of the way and it's somewhere that people will naturally come unless the price is cheap.
Yeah.
There's potential we can enter at a place where the price can be decent. And there is capital appreciation if you compare to the average, like what happened to Normanton Park even. And also, one thing that I want to highlight is the quantum may potentially be low because of the unit layout type, about 900 square feet. So even if you multiply it by the 2425, the quantum itself is actually lower than a lot of the RCR average.
Yeah.
So it's something that we can keep a lookout, and of course, hopefully developer don't end up launching too high that minimize opportunity for investment.
Because if they didn't launch it at the right price, I don't think there's a need to rush into it just because there's another plot coming up at 71 Science Park, and that one will have an advantage because that one would be walkable to Cambridge MRT as compared to this development.
Yes. So this will come to the end of this video. I hope you enjoy our analysis. And if you're keen to find out more about the floor plan analysis that we'll do it up once the floor plan is out.
Yeah.
Okay, along with the pricing comparison. Okay, do scan the QR code right below and more than happy to validate to you. That's why it's a walkaway price and what exactly exit strategy in this area. With that, we'll see you next time. This is Christian.
This is Grace. Bye-bye.
Bye.